6 scientifically proven signs that predict how long you'll live after 70. You know, people often ask me, what's it like getting older? And I tell them the truth. It's a strange thing, waking up in a body that's slower than your spirit. You still feel 20 in your head, but the knees creak like old floorboards and the mirror doesn't lie. But here's the beautiful part. If you're lucky enough to make it past 70, you start to see life differently. You start to measure time, not in years, but in moments. Sunrises, belly laughs, the sound of your children's children calling your name. Now, I'm not here to scare you with numbers or start quoting endless medical jargon. I'm not a doctor, never claimed to be. I'm just an old man who's paid attention, read a lot, lived through even more, and had my fair share of visits to the hospital, both as the patient and the visitor. And what I've learned, what science has been confirming, is that there are certain signs, little clues, your body and mind start giving off after 70, that can actually tell you how long you might live. Not with certainty, mind you. Life still throws its curveballs, but with a kind of quiet, reliable insight that's hard to ignore. I didn't always believe this stuff. I thought, you live as long as you live, period. But then I started to notice things. Friends who stayed sharp seemed to hang around longer. Folks who walked a little faster kept showing up at the weekly coffee meetups while others, well, didn't. I saw it with my own eyes. And when I started digging into the science behind it, I found out it wasn't just old man intuition. It was real. Research from universities, long-term studies, even heart monitors and brain scans, all pointing toward 6 simple but powerful signs that actually help predict longevity after 70. Now I want to share them with you. Not to scare you, not to depress you. Quite the opposite, in fact. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to take a good look at your own life and realize you've got more control than you think. These signs aren't just predictors, they're levers. Things you can influence, change, work on. Because here's the thing. No matter your age, it's never too late to start living better. I've buried people I love. I've held hands with old friends in hospital rooms. But I've also danced at weddings I never thought I'd live to see. I've watched the sun rise on birthdays I once thought might be my last. And through it all, one thought keeps me going. Maybe the secret to a long life isn't just in your genes. It's in how you walk, how you love, how you sleep, how you live. So pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of something warm, and let's talk about these 6 signs together. You might just learn something that adds a few more beautiful years to your life. Or better yet, adds more life to the years you've already got. Sign 1, walking speed. The pace of life reflects the heartbeat of time. Let me tell you something that surprised the heck out of me when I first read it. And believe me, after 70, not much surprises you anymore. Scientists have found that one of the best indicators of how long you might live is how fast you walk. That's right. Not your cholesterol, not your blood pressure, your walking speed. Simple as that. Now, I remember when I was younger, I used to walk like I was late for something, even when I wasn't. There was a bounce in my step, a rhythm that came naturally. But I didn't think much of it until I hit my 70s and started to feel that bounce turn into more of a shuffle. A lot of folks slow down. It's normal, sure. But here's where it gets interesting. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh did a big old study with nearly 35,000 older adults and found that faster walkers tended to live longer. And I'm not talking about marathon runners here. I'm talking about everyday folks, walking around their neighborhoods, the grocery store, maybe up a hill or two. They measured something called gait speed, which is just a fancy term for how quickly you can walk a short distance. Turns out, if you walk about 1 meter per second or faster, roughly 2.2 miles per hour, you're in good shape. Folks with that kind of pace had a higher chance of living another 10 years or more past 70. And the reason why is simple. Walking speed is a kind of snapshot of your overall health. It reflects your heart function, your muscle strength, your balance, your brain, all working together. When you walk, your body is multitasking. Your heart's pumping, your lungs are pulling in air, your nerves are firing instructions, your joints are adjusting. If something's off, your walking speed is one of the first places it'll show. So when a doctor watches you stroll down the hall, they're not just being polite. They're quietly reading your body's report card. Now, I'm not saying you've got to power walk like one of those folks in the mall with their arms swinging like windmills, but I am saying this. If you can work on keeping a steady, confident pace, even if it's just around the living room, you're doing your future self a big favor. I've made it a little routine. Every morning, I take a short walk. Sometimes around the block, sometimes just up and down the hallway if the weather's bad. And when I walk, I pay attention. I lift my feet, I breathe deep, I try not to shuffle. It's not about speed, not really. It's about intention. Telling your body, I'm still here. I've still got places to go. So next time you're walking, take notice. Are you gliding along or dragging your heels? Are you leaning forward with purpose or letting gravity win? Your walking pace might be whispering a little secret to you about your future. And if it's not where you want it to be, good news, you can work on it, one step at a time. Sign 2, grip strength, the quiet strength of longevity. I remember the first time I noticed my grip was getting weaker. It wasn't anything dramatic, just couldn't open a stubborn jar of pickles. My grandson tried, and pop, off it came like it was nothing. And I laughed, sure, but deep down it got me thinking, when did my hands start letting go? Turns out, grip strength isn't just about showing off your handshake or opening jars. It's one of the clearest predictors of how well your body is aging. More and more studies are showing that people with stronger grips tend to live longer, stay healthier, and maintain their independence much later in life. The science backs it up. In a major study published in The Lancet, researchers found that lower grip strength was linked to a higher risk of heart disease, stroke, and even early death. And this was true even when other factors like blood pressure, age, and diet were taken into account. That shook me a bit. I mean, who would have thought the strength in your hands had so much to say about the health of your heart and your brain? But when you stop and think about it, it makes sense. Your grip isn't just about your hands. It's a reflection of your entire muscular system. It tells a story about how much strength your body still has left in the tank. Muscle mass, nerve function, coordination, it all plays a role. If you're losing strength in your hands, chances are you're losing it elsewhere too, even if you haven't noticed yet. And here's the real kicker. Grip strength has even been tied to cognitive decline. That's right. People with weaker grips in old age are more likely to develop memory issues, even dementia. It's like the hands are sending an early signal that something deeper might be going on. Now don't panic if your grip's not what it used to be. Mine isn't either. But what matters is that you work on it. I keep a little rubber ball on the side table, squeeze it a few times while watching TV. I do light weightlifting with soup cans or small dumbbells. Nothing fancy. Heck, even wringing out a wet dishcloth with a little purpose can help. And let's be honest, there's a certain dignity in strength. Being able to carry your own groceries, being able to hold your partner's hand firmly, being able to grip the railing without fear. Those little things are worth holding on to. So don't let grip strength slip away quietly. Fight for it. Strengthen it. Not for the sake of vanity, but for the sake of life. Because sometimes, the most important things aren't about how much we can lift, but about how tightly we can still hold on. Sign 3, social connections. The people you keep close are the heartbeat of your days. You know, when I was younger, I used to think that strength was about how much weight you could lift, how many hours you could work, how much you could handle alone. But let me tell you something I've come to understand over time. Real strength, the kind that keeps you alive inside and out, is found in connection. In people, in conversation, in community. When you're over 70, the world gets quieter. Friends pass away, families move. You go from dinners with a table full of laughter to eating soup alone in front of the television. And at first you think, well, I'm okay. I've still got my shows. I've still got my memories. But slowly, without realizing it, something starts to dim. And that something, science tells us, can shorten your life. There's a landmark study from Harvard that followed people for over 80 years, longer than most of us get to live. What they found was simple, but powerful. The quality of your relationships is one of the best predictors of how long and how well you'll live. Not wealth, not fame. Not even health markers as much. Relationships. And I don't mean you have to be surrounded by people every day or be some social butterfly. It's about meaningful connection. One or two good friends you can call when the world feels heavy. A neighbor who checks in. A grandson who texts. A weekly card game. Those things add years to your life, not just because they make you happy, but because they literally keep your body healthier. You see, loneliness triggers the same stress responses as physical pain. It can increase inflammation, raise blood pressure, even weaken your immune system. Your body knows when your heart feels isolated. It responds like it's under attack. And over time, that stress wears you down. I've seen it happen too many times. I had a friend named Earl. Tough as nails, ex-Marine, lost his wife, started keeping to himself. At first, he said he liked the quiet. But the quiet got louder. And not long after, he got sick. The kind of sick that doesn't show up on scans. The kind that sneaks in when the house is too empty. But I've also seen the other side. My neighbor, Ruth, she's 82, plays piano at the church, still makes pie for the community bake sale. People love her, and she's alive. Not just in body, but in spirit. You can feel it in her voice, her eyes, her laugh. And the studies agree. People who stay socially active in their 70s and beyond have better memory, lower rates of depression, and significantly longer lives. So if it's been a while, reach out. Call someone. Invite a neighbor over for tea. Join a club, a choir, a walking group, anything. Even a quick chat at the grocery store can mean more than you think. You don't have to do life alone. And in fact, science says you shouldn't. Because in the end, it's not just about how many years you have. It's about who you get to share them with. Sign 4. Mental sharpness. The mind is a garden, and memory is its flower. Now let me tell you something about the brain. It's a funny old thing. It remembers your wedding day like it was yesterday, but forgets where you left your glasses 5 minutes ago. It can recall a song lyric from 1963, but blank out on your neighbor's name. You start to wonder, is this normal, or is something slipping? Here's the truth. Some forgetfulness is just part of getting older. It happens. But what matters, what really matters, is whether your mind is still working, still learning, still curious. Because just like your muscles, your brain needs exercise, and the more you keep it active, the better it serves you, not just now, but for the years ahead. Studies show that mental sharpness is one of the key predictors of longevity after 70. People who continue to challenge their minds, whether through reading, puzzles, learning new skills, or even meaningful conversation, tend to live longer and with better quality of life. Not only that, but they're far less likely to develop dementia or cognitive decline. There's this concept scientists call cognitive reserve. Think of it like a mental savings account. The more you put into it during your life, through education, mental activity, problem solving, the more protection you have later on when aging starts to nibble at your mind. And the best part? It's never too late to start contributing. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a man named George, retired electrician, lived alone after his wife passed. Instead of just watching the news all day, he decided to learn Spanish. Said he always wanted to travel. Figured learning the language was a good first step. Now he never made it to Spain, but that man could rattle off whole sentences with flair. His eyes sparkled when he practiced. It gave him energy. Purpose kept his brain firing. He lived to 94. Then there's Margaret, who took up painting in her 80s. Never picked up a brush before in her life, but she said it made her feel alive. And studies back it up. Creative hobbies, even when started late in life, boost mental resilience and lower your risk of cognitive decline. They even help manage stress and reduce depression, which, in turn, helps the whole body live longer. And you don't need to become a genius overnight. Read books, do crosswords, watch documentaries. Ask your grandkids to teach you how to use a new app. Yes, even if it drives you crazy. All those little efforts add up to something powerful. They're your mind's way of stretching, flexing, staying alive. So if you've been feeling a little foggy lately, don't ignore it. But don't fear it either. Treat it as a sign. A reminder, your mind is still in there, asking to be watered. Feed it. Talk to it. Challenge it. Let it wander sometimes, and then bring it back home. Because as long as your mind is still learning, you're not old. You're just getting started. Sign 5. Purpose. A reason to rise is a reason to live. Now this one's close to my heart. I remember waking up the morning after my wife passed. The silence in the room was so heavy it felt like it was pressing on my chest. The world looked the same outside the window, sun rising just the same, birds doing their thing. But inside, something had gone missing. I sat at the edge of the bed and thought, what now? I had no reason to get up. No one to make coffee for, no plans, just the ticking of the clock. But it didn't stay that way. A few weeks later, my granddaughter came to visit. She crawled into my lap, looked up at me with those big, curious eyes and said, "Grandpa, can you teach me how to fix things like you used to fix Mom's toys?" And just like that, I had a reason again. A small one, but it was mine. Purpose had returned, and science, once again, backs this up. Having a sense of purpose, especially after 70, is one of the strongest predictors of not just how long you'll live, but how well. People who have something to wake up for, something that gives their life meaning, live longer. Period. There's a whole body of research behind this, including studies from places like Okinawa, Japan, one of the famed blue zones, where people regularly live into their 90s and even 100s. Over there, they have a word, ikigai. It means a reason for being. It doesn't have to be big. It could be your garden, your grandchildren, your morning prayer, your volunteer work. It's just something that pulls you forward. The thing is, after retirement, or after loss, it's easy to slip into a kind of passive living. You've done your part, you tell yourself. You've worked, you've raised kids, you've served. And that's true, but your soul still wants to contribute. Your heart still wants to matter. Purpose doesn't expire with age, it just changes shape. And here's the kicker, it doesn't even have to be external. Some folks find purpose in caring for a pet, in making art, in learning, in passing on wisdom. My neighbor started writing letters to all his grandkids, one for every birthday he might not make it to. That's purpose. That's legacy. I won't lie to you. Finding purpose after loss or change takes courage. But once you find it, even a little flicker of it, you'll feel it. Your posture changes. Your days feel less heavy. Your laughter comes back around the edges. Purpose gives your life direction. And where there's direction, there's life. So ask yourself, right now, what keeps me going? And if you don't know the answer yet, that's okay, but go find it. Because the truth is, the people who live the longest aren't just surviving. They're still living for something. Sign 6. Sleep quality. Night is the mirror of the soul. Now let's talk about something we've all wrestled with: sleep. Or more specifically, the lack of it. If I had a nickel for every night I've stared at the ceiling, counting the ticks of the clock, I'd be a rich man. And it's funny because when you're younger, sleep feels like a waste of time. "I'll sleep when I'm dead," we used to say. But once you cross that 70 mark, you start realizing just how precious a good night's rest really is. Science has come a long way in understanding sleep. It's not just about feeling rested. It's about healing, repair, memory, immune function, longevity. In fact, sleep quality, more than just sleep duration, has been linked to how long we live. And I'm not talking about needing 9 hours a night like a teenager. What matters is how well you sleep, not just how long. You see, during deep sleep, your body goes to work. It repairs damaged cells, flushes out toxins from your brain, regulates hormones that control appetite, stress, and energy. It's like a maintenance crew that comes in when the lights are off. Miss enough good sleep, and the system starts to crack. Your risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, even Alzheimer's goes up. And when you're older, those cracks grow faster. But here's the rub. Aging makes sleep harder. Your body produces less melatonin, your sleep cycles shift, and those middle-of-the-night wake-ups, they get more frequent. And don't get me started on the 3 a.m. worries that come knocking on the brain like unwelcome guests. But we don't have to surrender to it. There are things you can do, even now, to improve your sleep. Create routines. Dim the lights in the evening. Avoid too much coffee after lunch. I learned that one the hard way. Maybe lay off the news late at night, too. No sense filling your mind with the world's chaos before bed. I also started keeping a little gratitude journal. Just 3 things before sleep. A smile from my daughter. The smell of the roses I planted. A good sandwich, that's it. And you'd be amazed how something so simple can quiet the noise. Your body listens to your habits. And when it sees you're making space for rest, it rewards you with better mornings, more energy, sharper thinking, stronger immunity, and yes, possibly a longer life. So don't treat sleep like a luxury. It's not. It's survival. It's renewal. It's sacred. Make peace with your nights, my friend. Because in the dark, when the world is quiet, your body is doing the quiet work of keeping you alive. And that, in itself, is a kind of miracle. Conclusion: embrace life every single day. Well, there you have it. 6 scientifically proven signs that can tell you a little bit about how long you might live after 70, and more importantly, how you can influence those signs to work in your favor. But here's the thing. I'm not here to give you a formula for immortality. I'm not here to promise that if you walk a little faster or call a friend every day, you'll live to 100. Life doesn't work that way. It's unpredictable, mysterious, and sometimes downright unfair. But what I am here to say is that we have more power than we think. We can shape the years ahead by making small, intentional choices. Whether it's your walking speed, your grip strength, your mental sharpness, the people you surround yourself with, the purpose you find in life, or the sleep you allow yourself to have. Each of these things matters. Each of these things can add years, yes, but more than that, they can add quality to those years. They can keep you from just existing and help you start truly living again, even as the numbers on the calendar keep climbing. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Life doesn't stop being precious after 70. It just changes its shape. The challenges are different, sure. But the joys are just as sweet, the moments just as meaningful, and the lessons just as profound. I've had my share of losses, and I know the sting of watching people pass, wondering, will I be next? But I've also had my share of victories, the quiet victories, the ones that don't show up in any chart, but that feel just as important as any big milestone. The joy of seeing my grandkids grow up, the satisfaction of solving a puzzle, the gratitude for the friends who still stick around. So what's the takeaway from all of this? It's not about chasing some magical number of years. It's about living the years you've got in the best way you can. It's about being intentional with your health, your relationships, your purpose, and your sleep. It's about recognizing that these things are not just signs. They're the tools that let you build a life that's worth living. And yes, there are plenty of things that are out of your control. We all know that. But there's so much in your control. The way you move, the way you think, the way you love, the way you care for your body. All of these choices are yours, no matter how many candles are on the cake. If you take anything away from this, let it be this. You're not done. You're just getting started. Whatever age you are, whatever stage of life you're in, there's always room to grow. Always something to look forward to. Always a chance to improve, to change, to live with intention. So I'll leave you with this thought. Don't wait for a magic number or the perfect moment to start living fully. Don't wait for tomorrow because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Start today. Make one small change. Take one step forward and feel the difference it can make. If you can do that, then the years ahead won't just be years. They'll be years full of meaning, joy, and richness, no matter how many of them you have. Life doesn't stop after 70. It keeps going, and it's as precious as ever. Don't let anything, least of all age, tell you otherwise. Keep moving, keep loving, keep learning, keep living.